know you pick the right people when you're recruiting? And the answer is you don't know until they're in. And obviously the scary bit about this is that employees look after your clients. Like I said, it's a massive risk for any business, especially a startup. Why we need to expand the team is very simple. Rupert Connect is going to be now managing communities on behalf of our brands, our customers. For us to be able to do that, we need a team in-house, on the ground, to sit there and manage our clients' communities day in, day out, to help them increase engagement, to get conversions for sales opportunities across their socials, and just make their brand and community just so active that they're going to build a moat around their own business. That is what we're trying to do. And all that means we need to recruit. What are the biggest challenges when recruiting roles such as this? I would class this job as the new call centre, as it were. Because you don't want overly skilled people for this role, and what you don't also want is underskilled. So you want that balance of people that really care, want to sort of, I guess, enter the social media marketing world, and they can understand how agencies work, how brands work. So actually for those type of people, it's great. But obviously the challenge with that is finding the right people, because this isn't an admin role. It's sort of a slash between admin / social media manager. It's a really interesting role because you've got to be responsible for how those brands are perceived online, and from an internal perspective, how our clients perceive Rupert. So it's a really interesting role, because you can't overpay, because it's not, it's not a salesman, it's not like a media buyer. Because the tech, which is Rupert, is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, you don't need an overly skilled team. What you could do is go down the route, and something we are looking at is graduates. So can we use grads that want to enter the marketing sphere to use us as that entry-level role to then go into better roles? Because a job like this, no one will be in it forever. As a business, we need to be aware that this isn't going to be a role for someone for 4 or 5 years. So retention is going to be key. I think our retention will probably be about 12 months. Now, obviously, there'll be some anomalies in there, but in terms of that role, we need someone in the role for a certain period of time so they really understand the brand. And from a brand perspective, they want to make sure that we don't have a huge turnover of staff, because then they won't value what our proposition as much. And obviously that's very important when it comes to that trust then, because we want the brands to trust not only Rupert as a brand, but the staff within Rupert. So the plan in terms of location to have this team, the plan is to have the team in Manchester. The reason for that is the devs are in Manchester. They're moving to a new office in the next couple of weeks. So actually, it's the 5th of Feb today. They actually got the keys this morning. So they've just gone into a lot bigger office. We've struck a deal to say, look, why don't we just have the devs and the community managers in one office? Again, from a location perspective, there's a lot of talent in Manchester, which is fantastic. The obviously question then is management. So because obviously we're based in Leamington, how often can we go to Manchester? In the early stages, it'll be quite often, so probably every week for a couple of days. And obviously as we then grow the team and get, certain senior managers in place, obviously that will then probably be once a week or once every 2 weeks or a couple of times a month. But the management side is going to be really important, because obviously I'm not going to be there day to day. We will have SLAs with clients, which is fine, but we need to make sure, like anything, that there is someone who is going to be managing those teams day in, day out, and make sure that we're not missing client deadlines. We are giving the value we need to. Obviously, management comes more expense, but obviously that expense will pay dividends, because the trust that they can give me and obviously give the clients is imperative. That's the plan, but that's the plan today. How that will move on moving forward, I don't know. It might be that we bring it down to Birmingham, which is closer, but right now the plan is to get a team in Manchester, get a manager in place and build around there. How many team members will we need? At the moment, about 3. Obviously this is all dependent on how many contracts we win and some of the pitches that we've pitched, how many of those we win as well. But at the moment it's probably around 3. And what we're planning to do is actually look at those team members or community managers, put them into different roles. So one is looking after the sales opportunities, one is looking after the more customer service type questions, and then someone else will be looking after the negative feedback, complaints and trolling type activity. Although the trolling activity will be quarantined in real time, so I'm not overly concerned too much about that stuff. In terms of where we're going to hire them from,
Places like LinkedIn is really good. Referrals, mutual connections will be good, especially if we start having a base in Manchester, we start growing that team there. I mentioned before, this is sort of that entry-level job into the workplace. You'll typically find that friends will tell, I'm working at this place, it's really cool. So I'm hoping to use that as well. It's one of the tactics we used back in the day, and it worked again really, really well for actually the mum market, because we used to employ quite a lot of mums that were only looking for a certain amount of hours during school and term time, which worked again brilliantly. So I'm hoping we get a bit of that. Again, the mum market's one we're going to look at recruiting in. Mums are great, they're busy, they understand work ethic, so that'll be one that we definitely go after as well. That's really the qualities we want, someone that is responsible and they want to make sure that the work they're doing is of quality, but they also need to be empathetic. When you look at those that have had children, typically they are a lot more empathetic than those that haven't been. I'm being very general there, but rule of thumb, they're speaking on behalf of that brand, which is so important. And obviously, look, Rupert will be assisting them, but that's the sort of qualities we need to make sure that we are producing the right type of experience for the users that are commenting on our clients' posts, but secondly, the experience then for our clients when they see these responses go, yeah, it's a really good response, I'd have said the same. So that's the type of experiences we want. But it is really interesting when you start building these teams out, what your ideal is when you come into it versus your idea when you're coming out of it. And typically they're very different.
So how will we know if it's working and actually what success looks like for us? So I guess it's going to be a work in progress. Like anything, it won't be perfect from day one. It's never going to be. How long will it take to get it, which we think is right, is really from day one. The processes that we're putting in place now, as long as they're adhered to, actually, I wouldn't say perfect, but it should look good from day one. Obviously, we can always iterate, we can always get better, we can get more learnings. It'll be a work in progress, but from day one, it should be good. What will a great hire look like in 6 months when it comes to that team? Someone who's engaged, right? Someone that wants to be part of it, someone that wants to come in, really immerse themselves in it, because I can never promise this, but I do believe that this will be, huge in a few years. They want to be part of that, and I'd love someone to walk in and go, I can see what you're doing here, I want to be part of this, so that would be great. And an ideal scenario would be that they're with us then for not just 6 months, for 2 years. Maybe they, go up as a SLT, senior leadership team, or they go on to a better role. I've had some brilliant people over the years who've gone into amazing roles, and you see it on LinkedIn, it's great. But yeah, that'd be an ideal scenario. Building this team is going to allow us to win more contracts. It's really that simple. I want to make people look from afar and go, how are they growing so fast? But God, I want to be part of that. I want people to advocate for what we're doing as a brand. I want people to go, look at what we're doing for this brand, look at what we're doing for this brand. I want our employees to be shouting about that. Whether it's recruiting a staff or whether it's recruiting of clients, I want people to go, I want to be part of that. That's what I'd love for our team in the future to do. It'd be brilliant. And it's not for everyone, right? That's always the nature of the beast. But yeah, if I can get someone that does that off their own back because they feel like they want to do it, that's a massive tick in my book, without a doubt. So the biggest takeaway from this is Rupert Connect can only work if we have a good team. It comes down to that simply. If we build the wrong team, with the wrong ethos, with the wrong processes, it will fail, which is scary to say. But we've got to have the right team to be able to, again, attract those customers, showcase to our current customers how better results they get in so that they don't leave, so our retention rate is high. If we have the right team, we're successful. If we have the wrong team, we fail. So, Michael.